corporations corrupt science at the public's expense. Noting that government agencies rely on independent scientific advisory panels to provide objective advice, the report revealed that panel members often have undisclosed financial conflicts of interest, ties to companies that stand to win or lose based on the findings of these advisory committees. Surely having a personal financial stake in a company while being responsible for assessing the safety of the technology developed and commercialized by that company constitutes a serious conflict of interest requiring disclosure. Accumulating evidence. Any queries addressed to governments or public health bodies in the UK about the safety of wireless technologies continue to be dismissed through reference to the authoritative AGNIR report from 2012. Recent research, however, has strengthened IARC's 2011 classification of RFMs as a 2B carcinogen. In 2015, the replication of a German animal study from 2010 confirmed that the incidence of carcinogen-induced tumors, lung and liver, in mice was significantly higher with RF-EMF exposure. Lead author Alexander Lerchl, Jacobs University, Bremen, stated in a press release, "Our results show that electromagnetic fields obviously enhance the growth of tumors. Lymphomas," he observed, "were also found to be significantly elevated by exposure." In the study, the authors noted, the fact that both studies found basically the same tumor-promoting effects at levels below the accepted, and in most countries legally defined, exposure limits for humans is worrying. This conclusion was given added salience by the fact that Alexander Lerchl had previously been an outspoken skeptic regarding the existence of health effects from RFMs. Earlier this year, a $25 million animal study on RFMs, one of the world's biggest to date by the U.S. National Toxicology Program, NTP, underwent peer review. The peer review panel concluded that the case control study showed clear evidence of carcinogenic activity, exposed rats developed rare heart tumors, and confirmed some evidence of a link between RFMs and brain cancer. The findings made by the Bremen team and the NTP should contribute to a revision of permitted public RF-EMF exposure limits. The formulation of adequately protective public health policies requires the existence of an expert panel such as AGNIR, albeit with radically reformed membership and true scientific independence. Following the disbanding of AGNIR, the assessment of health risks from RFMs is now the responsibility of the Committee on Medical Aspects of Radiation in the Environment, COMER, another expert committee which is supposed to provide independent advice about the health impacts of both ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. The UK government website states that COMER has a watching brief on non-ionizing radiation and that Public Health England remains committed to delivering expert review reports on non-ionizing radiation topics as and when sufficient new evidence has accumulated. No review of research on non-ionizing RFMs appears to be on the horizon in COMER's work program for 2018-19, the main focus of which remains ionizing radiation. In a lecture given at the National Education Union Conference in Northern Ireland, in May 2018, Starkey pointed out that the conflict of interest associated with membership of AGNIR also exists for COMER. The person responsible for deciding whether to advise COMER to look at any new evidence of health impacts was an author of the inaccurate AGNIR report and is also a member of AGNIR's scientific expert group. There needs to be an expert advisory group independent of AGNIR, the wireless communications industry and UK governments. Starkey is calling for the inaccurate 2012 AGNIR report, and government advice based on it, to be retracted and for there to be mechanisms put in place whereby incorrect government